14th, 2024 special meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand with me. United States and Texas flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Ms. Alcantar, are there any public comments? All right. The board will now go into a closed meeting for the reasons listed on our agenda. The board is back in open session. The time is now 6 o'clock. Is there any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the hire of principal for Stewart Creek Elementary as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Fortin. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The vote carries. The time is now 6:01. This meeting is adjourned. This is the MISD May 14th, 2024 regular meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please stand with me for the invocation by Mr. Trey Kirby and the Pledge of Allegiance to United States and Texas flags.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here. We thank you for the opportunity to be in a community that we can pray to you openly and glorify you and worship you. We're so thankful for that. I just ask your blessings over these proceedings throughout the evening. Ask your blessings over these board members as they transition into a new board with Mr. Cameron and Miss Ivy, that transition is done with your glory and in your glory and with your blessing. And as Montgomery ISD moves forward, we just hope that we keep you in the forefront and the light, and you bless us in all the things that we do. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Dr. Reffin, do we have any special recognitions this evening?
We do. Ms. Stephanie Wells is going to come forward and introduce our special recognition. I know we got some students here.
Good evening, trustees. We don't typically have a theme for our recognitions each month at board meetings, but if we did, I think that this month would be Girl Power. Tonight, we are very excited to acknowledge the accomplishments of some really special young ladies from Montgomery ISD. First, from Lake Creek High School, I'd like to invite to the podium swim and dive coach Wade Johnson and Lake Creek senior and state champion diver Miss Julie Moons.
All right, I would like to introduce everybody to Julie Moons, and she earned the title of the 2024 UIL 5A State Championship in diving. She's going to graduate next week as a 4-time All-American and holds the high school record with a score of 502.60. And not only did she win the 5A state title, but she also beat all the scores in 6A diving. Julie was a, how do you say this? Oh, I'm not going to be able to say that. Julie was a gymnast from elementary school through junior high, and after being diagnosed with, I'm just going to call it OCD. Yeah, okay. She made the switch to competitive diving to use her talents in a way that minimized the impact to her body, and she started her diving career and grew to love the sport. Julie was a USA Senior National Championship finalist in 2023. She also participated in 2023 as a Lake Creek Robotics state team member and was part of the 2023 Lake Creek Robotics World's Championship team. She was a Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo School Art finalist and the first female diver to place first at district, regionals, and state. A little bit about Julie: she changes her own oil, she does her own car maintenance, and she can throw just about anything on a pottery wheel and make something very incredible. She can weld and make unique pieces of art. She is an outstanding young lady, always ready to help anyone in need or struggling. She's done all this while maintaining an AB average and has been in Montgomery ISD schools since kindergarten, is now graduating as a Lake Creek senior. She will be heading to Texas A&M to study mechanical engineering and continue her diving career as an Aggie. Miss Julie Moons.
Please stay for some pictures.
That would be a little weird if you're all standing behind her. Matt, can you go to that side for me? Thank you. That's even. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thanks. Congratulations.
For our next recognition from Montgomery High School, please welcome the national champion MCJROTC Female Raiders team and their instructor, First Sergeant Miller.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get started introducing these fine young ladies, I want to take a minute to explain to you what Raiders is. All right, so Raider is a physical team competition put on usually over rough terrain. At Nationals, they went up to Boswell, Pennsylvania, at an elevation change from here of 3,500 feet, something they couldn't train for, couldn't prepare for. It consists of 5 events, starting with a 5K run, a team run where they must stay together, no more than 30 feet apart. They compete in a physical team test, or what we call a Raider Fitness Challenge, which is a 400-meter course, flipping tires, running through obstacles, and again, having to stay together and function as a team. They also have to do a 1-rope bridge over, in that case, it was over a small creek, which they've tied anywhere from being between 2 telephone poles to across that creek. A casualty evacuation, which is a 1-mile course where they move with 4 40-pound rucks and a 90-pound litter across that course, simulating moving a casualty through it. And then finally, an obstacle course that they must navigate once again as a team. And on top of that, at Nationals, the only 2-day event they've competed in, they had to top that off with a 10K movement that encompassed all of those skills. Another 1-rope bridge, land navigation, first aid skills, and most of all, a Kim's game where they had to memorize things that they saw at the beginning and then recite them at the end in order to complete the course. So with that, I'll go ahead and introduce them. We have the team captain, Angelina Kuklik, who is also the rope team commander and the 10K leader. The obstacle team leader was Samantha Solomon. The CCR team leader, Madison Lofton. And the Raider Fitness Challenge leader, Ayana Chanella. Also team members we have senior Aubrey Spalding, London Harrison, Courtney Plagans, Lily Malore, Isabella Beasley, and Rylan Rosso. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2023-24 national champions of the first inaugural Marine Corps JROTC Raider Nationals. Go get pictures.
Want to shake your hands for me? Okay. I told them they're going to want to shake your hands and then nobody shook their hands. Okay. Okay. Get this. Okay. 1, 2. Thank you. Congratulations.
So I think we need to, can we petition the UIL to get you the 6A medal too? I think that's appropriate, right? And Dr. Fuller, a few weeks, or I guess a couple months ago, you suggested that we do like a bus ride along, right? And I think we could maybe do an obstacle course ride along. Get our board members to ride. I think that's a great idea.
Nice. All right, moving along to public comments. Oh, we have one more? What did I skip? Do we have one more presentation?
I'm gonna recognize, no?
Recognition.
Continue.
Okay. All right, public comments. We have one public comment this evening. Before we do that, thank you to the person that registered to speak. We have a limit of 3 minutes. There are a limited number of instances in which the board can respond to you during public comment. We cannot take any votes or actions based upon public comments. Please keep comments respectful and focused on the topic you've registered to speak on. Tonight we have Ms. Gretchen Murray from Montgomery, Texas.
Hi, good evening. This is so nerve-wracking. My name is Gretchen Murray. I am a teacher and a coach at MHS. So some of y'all know me as Miss Murray, some of y'all know me as Coach Murray, some of y'all know me as neighbor. Anyways, I wanted to tell you about dual contracts and how they affect coaches. As somebody who's been here for 10 years at MISD, I have been a teacher first, a coach second. I became a coach when we split schools, and I found out by going into that, we turned into, my teaching contract turned into what's called a dual contract. If at any time I get out of coaching, I give up my teaching spot. And after 10 years of teaching and sacrifice with long hours of coaching at the high school, I asked to step down from coaching to focus on my family for a year or two. I even, because my team means so much to me, found my replacement coach. It is hard to find a tennis coach, especially a head tennis coach with experience. I found a head tennis coach, got him hired. He even took a position that was not my teaching position. But now, because I am under dual contract, I no longer have a job. And I think this is something we should consider doing away with at Montgomery, because I feel like as a coach, if we give of our time, our hours, and many of my hours were 4 a.m. to midnight, only to do it again the next day by myself. If I'm sacrificing this time, and I tell you after 10 years, hey, I just need a year or two to focus on my family, I want to come back to coaching, but I would like to focus on my family, we should say, hey, coach, with all the open positions we have here, we're going to find a job for you and take care of you, especially if you have a good teaching record. I have a great teaching record. I have counselors, I have teachers, and I have parents who are willing to write letters of impact that I've had on their kids. And I stand before you telling you this dual contract is not something that is good for coaches wanting to come here either. They're going to look at that and go, okay, well, if after giving most of my life to coaching and I decide to step down, I will no longer have a job. So Just wanted y'all to consider doing away with dual contracts for coaches.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Murray. All right, we will be moving to item 5A, Canvass of Elections. This is the election canvass report for the May 4th, 2024 Montgomery ISD Board of Trustees election. You all will need to bear with me for a minute as I read through this, as legally it is something we do every year. Position 4, Trey Kirby, early voting, 774, absentee 83, election day 354, total 1,211. Position number 4, Paul E. Cameron, early voting 900, absentee 83, election day 256, total 1,239. Position number 5, Elizabeth Ivy, uncontested, early voting 1,264, absentee 133, election day 475, total 1,872. Is there a motion to certify the results of the May 4th, 2024 MISD Board of Trustee election as presented?
I'll make a motion to certify the results.
Thank you, Mr. Dennison. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Going to 5B, issue certificates of election. I will now sign and issue the certificates of election. So give me one moment, please. Okay. Now we are going to move to something that we might need some tissues for. All right. We have 2 board members that we are going to recognize for their years and years and years of service. Starting with Ms. Porton. Tonight, after 6 years of service to the Montgomery ISD Board of Trustees, distinguished Montgomery ISD trustee Linda Porton is retiring from our school board. Okay. Linda has been an integral part of the Montgomery ISD family for more than 3 decades, serving in our schools as a speech therapist, resource reading teacher, science co-teacher, and substitute teacher. Linda has left a lasting legacy in MISD, starting the Project Impact Mentoring Program in 2017 with about 18 committed individuals. Today, the program has grown to more than 50 mentors who support and encourage staff and students in the rewarding but challenging work public schools endeavor to do. In the graphic on the screen, Linda is pictured with a student mentor in 2017. She reconnected with this young man after the mentor program was suspended during COVID and the student had stopped attending school. Linda was instrumental in getting him re-enrolled in Conroe ISD. He is set to graduate in December and was recently named prom king at Washington High School in Conroe. This story is a shining example of Linda's persistence and unwavering belief in the potential of every child. I am so grateful to have served alongside Linda as a trustee. She consistently models optimism and is motivated purely by a desire to do what is best for students. Over and over again, I have seen firsthand her ability to stay calm under pressure and to show an unlimited amount of grace to others. Thank you, Linda, for your dedication to the Montgomery ISD family and for Texas Public Schools. As a token of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with a plaque to commemorate your service to the board. If you can meet me at the front up there. Linda, you have anything you'd like to add?
I do. I'm prepared. Although I need my glasses. You know, I don't speak off the cuff, so I kind of prepared something. I have to start with, my husband is giving me the, can you hear me? Okay. My first encounter with Judge Wayne Mack was at a memorial service for one of our former students. We were gathered at Walden Yacht Club outside, and the minister didn't show up. So Judge Mack ran to his truck, retrieved his Bible, and proceeded to bring solace to the situation. Then he was there at the birth pangs of our Project Impact Mentor Program, and has been one of our valued mentors. I visited his truancy court once with a mom whose daughter needed to get a GED. She had so many absences and had so many issues. And I witnessed firsthand his compassion in unusual circumstances. Judge Mack, I just wanted to tell you, thank you for the strength you bring to Precinct 1 and to our MISD community. I started my career here at this campus at the age of 40, and I just kept getting older every year. And one day I'll be elderly, but not today. That's an inside joke. This community became our family, and I marveled at the connectedness, particularly as I grew up in Dallas. Let me say what a learning experience it has been for me these last 6 years. I've had the privilege of working with 4 different superintendents and 13 trustees of varying gifts and temperaments. And they've had to work with me. They've gotten to work with me. We have been able to do much with much assistance in becoming transparent and strategic. I can't even talk, I'm a speech therapist. Strategic in our plans and goals and processes. I am thankful for the guidance from our invaluable consultant, Kay Douglas, from my many friends at TASB Legal and Karen Dooley at TASB HR. I can say I did my homework and I tried to be prepared to ask pertinent questions. The job of a board member is narrowly defined, though we are perceived to be omnipotent by some in the community. I believe in the model of governance we've made our own, which consists of a team of 8 aiming to speak with one voice to the community. 2 heads are better than 1, but a 7-headed trustee creature can be quite a challenge. The board hires a superintendent, gives support, and encourages him to manage with his style, and then annually evaluates him on his goals as well as themselves on the result of their goals. This board oversight includes listening to community input and passing it along to the superintendent and adopting a workable budget, which will be a challenge this year. MISD has the brains, the brawn, the artistic talents, the tech savvy, and the staff and students to be premier. I pray the board continues to advance with the team spirit this district and this superintendent deserves and values in order for every student to benefit. I will be supporting each of you from a distance and want to thank my own children who have aided me as I close this chapter of my service. I'm looking forward to a swim team summer with all 6 younger grandchildren on the same swim team. And since they take after their mother and aunt, my daughter, we plan to dominate. I must mention my biggest cheerleader and support throughout these years. Jim has been stalwart in his influence and firmness of purpose. And he has provided great entertainment and comic relief to the board, who is in awe of his enigmatic wardrobe choices. He did not disappoint tonight. I wholeheartedly support each of you and wish a particularly warm welcome to Paul Cameron and Lizzie Ivy. You will find Dr. Ruffin's senior leadership team to be a dream, each and every one of them. So, Madam President, Dr. Ruffin, trustees, it has been a particular honor to serve with you. Thank you. We're standing for you, baby.
Dr. Ruffin? Ruffin,
Might be that eloquent.
I'll pass it over to you for a
Yes,
minute.
Yes, so before we get on to the next trustee to discuss, I will say that I've had the privilege of meeting both y'all just this fall. And folks, I don't know of a better example of a servant heart than Miss Porton. A lot of folks have different pathways to become a board member, different career experiences, different life experiences, but to walk through education firsthand, after a long career, retire, and then jump right back into it, knowing that now she's actually going to get paid a whole lot less than she ever was as a teacher, and to sign up for it. It is the absolute definition of a servant heart and a servant leader for this community. The Project Impact program has been mentioned, and I don't know if there's a better legacy that I think you can leave with a huge smile on your face, knowing that it doesn't matter what seven folks sit up here, that program has been productive and has made an impact on our kids, just as it was intended to be, just as it was indirectly from your heart. So thank you for your support of me. Jim, I love the shirt. Thanks, Miss Ivy. I love the shirt. That says Linda Porton for MISD, if y'all can see that. And I know that will hold true whether she is sitting up here or not. She is the biggest cheerleader for our staff, for our students, and for this district. So thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving to the next one. Tonight, we're also going to express our gratitude to Trey Kirby. Trey is the longest tenured trustee, a school board member since 2015. Trey is the very definition of Montgomery made. As a proud graduate of Montgomery High School, Trey became a board member because he wanted to give back to a community that has given him so much. Prior to being elected as an MISD trustee, he served on multiple committees and campus advisory boards throughout the district. He was instrumental in passing the district's 2022 bond and has worked behind the scenes with our elected officials to advocate for changes to public school funding formulas to benefit MISD students and public school students across the state. It has truly been an honor to serve with Trey Kirby. He is a thoughtful leader, one who can always be rallied on to ask the right questions as the board makes decisions that impact the school district. As a homegrown trustee, Trey has treated his role with the integrity and our community that our community values and expects. Thank you, Trey, for your longtime service to the school board and your commitment to Montgomery ISD and the larger community. As a token of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with a plaque to commemorate your service to the board. All right, we're going to mix it up a little bit. Dr. Ruffin would like to say a few words.
Yes, so 2015 to 2024, folks. I have several colleagues in this industry and in public education that will undoubtedly say that those years have been the absolute hardest to be in public education. Thinking through all the challenges that we have faced on a large scale throughout our state, throughout our country, the guidance, the time, the effort that has gone into those years. And I'm so thankful for Mr. Kirby. I mentioned the various paths to becoming a trustee, to know and recognize right away that as someone that grew up here, you have an opportunity to continue to add value and make change and impact a community is a special thing. And I'm so glad that most of these pictures are family. Because in those 2015 to 2024 years, folks, there's a lot of hours that you're not at baseball games, you're not at cheer competitions, you're not at places that you'd love to be. And so I'm thankful for that opportunity that's going to be afforded back to you, for Cannon, for Katie Grace, for, even though she's leaving, she's over there crying too. Just in time to go to college, right? Yeah. But I'm thankful for the opportunity that you'll have now to invest, and I know what you know is your most precious asset that you have. So Trey, thank you so much for your guidance, for your support, and for your leadership for this district.
Thank you. I'm not a speech therapist, so this might be a bit more of a challenge. Usually, everybody says I love the microphone, and I don't mind speaking from the hip. It's funny, the last 2 days, there's been anxiety, emotion, a little bit more tonight than I thought there'd be. Sorry. But I think that emotion and anxiety comes from the 9 years, comes from that service, that time. I can't go through everything that you went through. I can't talk about all those times because there's so many moments, so many great things. I just want everybody to know that when I did, I served Montgomery as a community, as a school district, because that was my job. That's what I called to do by my Lord and called to do by my community. I was asked to do this, and I love everything about it. I want everybody to know that I tried to do the best I could. I think I did it the right way, kept my head down. Integrity, character were what I lived on. I might not have been punctual. I might not have been efficient, but I did what I thought was best. Doing what my heart told me to do wasn't always the right thing. Difficult decisions when you have a wife as a principal, that you have to separate those sometimes, and you have to know what's best for the district versus what's best for your personal interests. But I think I overcame that, and I wouldn't be here for 9 years if that wasn't the case. But my time here has been great. I'm thankful for the time I've spent with these current board members, former board members. How many was it now? You say?
13.
13.
There's more for you.
And I think maybe 3 or 4 more for me. 3 superintendents. I don't want to not mention them. Came on with Dr. Bo Reese. Had the pleasure of being on a board that got to hire Dr. Heath Morrison and now Dr. Ruffin. Very thankful and grateful for that. To the family, my dad, my brother, always just being there through the hard times and the difficult discussions. If it was just to go have a beer and hang out and listen, that's what we could do. Mom's insight as a long-time MISD employee, teacher, and counselor. I'm so thankful for that. And then there's my family, the sacrifices that Dr. Ruffin mentioned. Not to mention the things that you sometimes have to hear as a wife and a kid that you don't deserve. But we know that's part of the gig, and we got through it, made us all stronger, learned a lot about each other. As I leave this role, I'm proud to have served and left a legacy for 9 years. Looking forward to the next assignment the good Lord has in store for me. I guess I'll try and figure out what I'm going to do with my Tuesday nights now. I'm sure they'll be filled soon enough, but I wish nothing but the best for Mr. Paul Cameron, Miss Lizzie Ivy. Thank you for taking these seats, and nothing for the best. I will be around, and I love this community and love this district. Will continue to do so, and wish nothing but the best for Montgomery ISD.
Thank you, Trey. Before we do call it families?
Could I say that y'all might have to purchase some comic relief credits when Trey and Jim and I are gone?
So we're going to take a picture, one more with the board, and then we'll be calling up their families to take pictures with them.
Okay. Take my plaque.
Coming. I don't know. Both of my kids are crying, so I'm sure they.
If you guys can stay off to the side so you're not in the picture, that'd be
Deal.
Yes, wear the hat.
Who's gonna pick on me?
I know.
Or even, if you guys can all scoot that way just a little.
Somebody will.
See the line is the middle? See the line? It's the last time I'm ever going to say that to you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Lovely.
Trey's family.
Okay, 1, 2. Thank you.
Y'all cleared my son.
Okay, we can leave. Should we just...
We're pausing for just 1 second. All right, we're going to go ahead and proceed. Moving on to the next item, we will be calling up Judge Mack as he will be, there he is, okay. He will be doing our oath of office for our new board members.
Thank you all. And I've had the privilege to do this several years. And tell you what, sitting next to Jules, listen to her say the pledges. Absolutely remarkable. So well done. Well done to what you professional educators do every day. Well done to the board. Well done to Trey. Linda, I remember the day she came in my office and we sat there. I tried to talk her out of doing it, but she couldn't do it. I remember talking, about what we were doing with us with the elementary programs and how she helped bring that here. So, two great examples that's already been said, but I got here, so I get to have 30 seconds. God bless y'all. This is the greatest privilege what y'all do up here. This is a holy place for our community. That is the greatest asset in our community is our children. So thank you for what you all do well, all you professional educators, every support staff, working board does. It's not an easy job, and that's why you get paid the big bucks. So I guess we'll go with ladies first.
Miss Lizzie Ivy.
Raise your right hand. And it's in the name and authority by the state of Texas. You repeat after me. I state your full name. preserve, protect, defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and this state. So help me God.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the first time that I've done this, and I actually gave her a life sentence a few years ago. Yeah, she got married.
Hey, Lizzie, after you sign that, we're gonna take pictures, so if you want to, you can just stand there while.
Great state of Texas. Would you repeat after me by stating your hand? I state your full name. I, Paul J. K. McCord. Do solemnly swear. That I will faithfully execute. The duties of the office of. Montgomery Independent School District Board of Trustees. As of the state of Texas. And I will, to the best of my ability. Preserve. Protect. And defend. The Constitution. The laws of the United States. And this state. So help me God.
After Mr. Cameron signs, board members will be taking a picture with the new board members. Lizzie Ivy's family. He's like, I didn't know I was getting my picture taken.
I just got to get to baseball. Sorry.
We need back to back. Yeah, back to back, head to head.
That's not right, Nate. That's not right, man.
Okay, moving on to 5D. Last year, we began the tradition of reciting Board Policy BBF Local, Board Member Ethics, as a pledge by our board to this district. And we do this every year because it is starting out a new year. It's refresh for us to read over those. Where's my binder? Okay. Oh, she put it right here. I apologize. All right. So if you will all each pull out your board member ethics, we will each be taking a part to read down the row. As I read through these in preparation for tonight, it was a huge reminder of how serious this job is and what a high standard we are held to by this community. So I will start out. As a member of the board, I shall promote the best interests of the district as a whole, and to that end shall adhere to the following ethical standards.
Equity and attitude. I will be fair, just, and impartial in all of my decisions and actions. I will accord others the respect I wish for myself. I will encourage expressions of different opinions and listen with an open mind to others' ideas.
Trustworthiness and stewardship. I will be accountable to the public by representing district policies, programs, priorities, and progress accurately. I will be responsive to the community by seeking its involvement in district affairs and by communicating its priorities and concerns. I will work to ensure prudent and accountable use of district resources, and I will make no personal promise to take private action that may compromise my performance or my responsibilities.
Honor and conduct. I will tell the truth. I will share my views while working for consensus. I will respect the majority decision as the decision of the board. I will base my decisions on fact rather than supposition, opinion, or public favor.
Integrity of character. I will refuse to surrender judgment to any individual group at the expense of the district as a whole. I will consistently uphold all applicable laws, rules, policies, and governance procedures. I will not disclose information that is confidential by law or that will needlessly harm the district if disclosed.
Commitment to service. I will focus my attention on fulfilling the board's responsibilities of goal setting, policymaking, and evaluation. I will diligently prepare for and attend board meetings. I will avoid personal involvement in activities the board has delegated to the superintendent. I will seek continuing education that will enhance my ability to fulfill my duties effectively.
Student-centered focus. I will be continuously guided by what is best for all students of the district.
Thank you to everyone. We will be moving to item 6, and the board will now go into a closed meeting for the reasons listed on our agenda. We will be back in a little while. All right. The board is back in open session. The time is now 8:33 p.m. We're moving to 7, action, board reorganization. We will start with nominations for board president. Are there any nominations for president?
I'll nominate Matt Fuller.
All right. Mr. Dennison nominates Matt Fuller. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. It's time to take a vote, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Dr. Fuller, let's trade position.
Works, that works.
Sorry, I'm taking all that's mine.
Purse.
Oh, yes.
No, purse is not mine.
And then it's starting here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, I want to sincerely say thank you, Ms. Turner, for her year of service here as president. And so we will now proceed forward with the next round of nominations. If you give me just a second. For vice president of board members, is there a nomination or nominations for Vice President of the Board?
I'll nominate Lori Turner.
Mr. Nguyen has nominated Ms. Turner. Ms. Turner, do you accept this nomination?
I accept.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, that nomination has been cast. Are there any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor of this nomination?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstained. Nomination carries. Ms. Turner, congratulations on vice presidency. And then last but not least, the secretary position. Consider the nomination of secretary, item 7C. Is there a nomination for secretary of the board?
I'll nominate Eddie Nguyen.
And Mr. Nguyen, do you intend to accept this nomination?
I do.
Thank you, he does. Mr. Robb nominated. And is there a second nomination or any other nominations? Hearing none, then we'll proceed to conversation, no discussion. A vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstained. So there you have it. Myself as president, Ms. Turner as vice president, Mr. Nguyen as secretary. I would like to give them a round of applause for their willingness to serve in that capacity. Thank you. Folks, thank you for the extra time tonight. We are obviously back there for a little while talking, and we've got some business to get ahead of us. All those, as we move forward on our agenda, consent agenda item 8, is there a board member that wishes to pull a consent agenda item from that agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion on consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Mr. Dennison is motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Nguyen, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed and abstained. That motion carries. Consent agenda is passed. On down to action items. 9A, consider approval of missed school day waivers for each day closed for weather and/or safety issues as presented. Dr. Ruff.
Yes, sir. So TEA requires us to have 75,600 instructional minutes each year. With our school closure on Friday of last, due to the flooding, that dropped us below that 75,600 minute requirement because Governor Abbott declared our area a disaster area that made available a waiver for those instructional minutes that we fell below. I think it was 200 and something minutes. And so this just allows us to waive those days, those minutes, so we don't have to make them up.
All right. Board members, any questions on this item? Ms. Turner has recently introduced a new way to do the discussion, and I am a little rusty at it, so she's going to have to coach me up a little bit on that in our next board meeting. If you'll afford me the grace of doing it the old school way for tonight, maybe coach me up a little bit after this. But hearing no discussion, can I hear a motion on 9A?
I'll make the motion to consider approval of missed school day waivers for each day closed for weather and safety issues as presented.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Was that Mr. Robb?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Robb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That motion carries unanimously. 9B, consider approval of requests for approvals for contracts and expenditures that are exceeding $50,000 for specialized learning. I bet that's why we have Ms. Clark in the room.
She's here to answer questions, but the simple version of this is because we do have a lot of folks, a lot of students for assessments and things, that we have contracted services that we will bring in to help us make sure that we are staying within certain timelines and deadlines and staying compliant with those. And so throughout the course of the fiscal year, those contracted services do run over that $50,000 mark. So this approves it going into next school year that the contracted services that we would bring on would exceed that $50,000 mark.
Does this also include like the transportation issues we have and everything?
This is not transportation, no, sir.
Okay.
This is things like evaluations, private duty nurses, OT, PT, yeah.
So Ms. Clark and Dr. Ruffin, I see that we have, tabulation in our board book. So we've covered all the bases in terms of getting bids and all the things we need to do, correct? Wow. Board members, are there any other questions? Given that there's a little bit of specialized language, if y'all don't mind, I'll go ahead and make that motion, if that's okay. Committee, the committee is recommending 20, or do you have 22? It says 20, yes, ma'am. All right, so I'll motion to approve all 20 vendors as provided for the wide range of services. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Robb. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That motion carries. Thank y'all. Next is information items, Student Health Advisory Council, or SHAC.
Dr. Busby.
So I'm trying to work around the candy wrappers that are in my pocket from the chocolate that sustained me during the break. All good. Here we go. There we go. We've got sound. All right, good evening. So we are here to talk about SHAC and give you a quick SHAC update for this school year. Before I get started, I do want to give some recognition to Darby Lockridge, who is in our audience tonight. She is our chair of our SHAC. I also want to recognize Courtney Dyer with additional duties that were served this year in my position. Courtney stepped up and helped be the district liaison for SHAC. So I owe a lot to Courtney to be able to fill into that position this year. But she wasn't able to be here with us tonight. All right, so SHAC, this is something that we do update the board each year on. SHAC is a group that is appointed by the school district to serve at the district level. We have different members in the community. We have parents, we have community members, and we also have educators that are on there. But the majority of the SHAC committee is community members and parents, so those that are not employed by the district. The SHAC assists the districts ensuring that local community values are reflected in our health education. And just making sure that we have that strong connection between health and learning. And so the SHAC meetings do happen a minimum of 4 times a year. This year, the SHAC met 2 times in the fall, in the first semester, and then 2 times in the second semester. And then during those meetings, this is kind of the flow of how our SHAC meetings happen. And so each time we kind of review who is serving on that committee. If we have any parent or community volunteers, we introduce any new members, just make those connections. Then we have district updates that are provided. If we have someone there that represents counselors, someone who represents nurses, physical education department, and then also our child nutrition. If there is any curriculum materials that need review, we also do that at those meetings. And then it's also open then to any other relevant topic needed for discussion. So that's kind of the flow of the meetings. One of the things that the SHAC was instrumental in putting on this year was our health and wellness fair. This was something we did every year prior to COVID. During COVID, we kind of had to back off a little bit, and we just did some smaller things. This year, we went back full force, and it is because of the help of the SHAC committee that we were able to put that on. We had over 350 employees that participated, 33 vendors from the community, and 31 door prizes were given out. And then even on that day, we had blood donations going on, so we had 22 employees who donated blood on that day as well, too. So it was a very successful event, and we're looking forward to the SHAC participating and helping in that event again next year. Another thing the SHAC does is our district wellness plan. This is something that we are required to have. And that wellness plan includes information on nutrition promotion, nutrition education, nutrition guidelines, how we're going to be promoting physical activity and any other school-based activities. We are required to update this every 3 years and do what's called a triennial assessment every 3 years to see how our campuses are doing implementing these things. We did that update to the wellness plan and the triennial assessment last year. So this is good until 2026, and then we'll do that review process again. And it is posted on our district website if anybody's interested in seeing the whole plan. Another big piece of SHAC is they were great in supporting our SOS committee efforts last year, which turned into our parent nights this year, so they continued that work, especially after looking at the different needs that were going on and the different interest level last year. We chose to focus on mental health this year. We are going to continue those efforts in the future, and so SHAC will help us determine, again, which parent night activities to focus on. Our focus in the past has been on mental health, substance use, and growing up in the digital age, so things that our students are facing. So they'll continue to work with us on bringing future parent nights to our community as well. And then curriculum adoption. So the SHAC is one of the things that we have to do. If we have curriculum material that covers anything like on human sexuality, health and nutrition education, substance use, mental health, suicide prevention, those materials should be brought to the SHAC committee for review. And so we had a science adoption this year, so when the teaching and learning department reviewed all of those materials, part of their process was to come to SHAC and give them the opportunity to review all of the materials. They kind of earmarked some of the areas that they might want to look closer at in the books. And so they took the time to do that, and out of the selections that that department brought, they gave their support for the recommendations they were bringing forward, which Teaching and Learning has already brought that adoption to the school board, I think, last month. So that's gone through that approval process. But SHAC had a part in reviewing those materials and giving approval. And so that is the major components of our SHAC committee and the SHAC efforts that they make each year. We're always looking to grow. So if any of you have people that you know that would have a passion for helping student health, we would love to have new members. So they can contact their campus principal, or they can also contact myself. I'll be taking a larger role in SHAC again next year. So they can reach out in any of those ways, and we'll be happy to get them on board. So with that, any questions?
Ladies and gentlemen, any questions? Student members are on SHAC as well, as I understand it, correct?
So, Darby, I'm going to look to you to see if we had any student participants this year.
We didn't. In the past, we have had the SNAC committee, which is a student organization at Montgomery High School that has, in the past, participated in the SHAC meetings, but we didn't have any SNAC members that attended this year.
I got my shacks and snacks mixed up, so. Any other questions, board members? Dr. Busby, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you, Darby.
Item 10B, department update on specialized learning. That's why Ms. Clark is here.
All right. I'm excited to share our department update with the board. We've been hard at work with specialized learning, and we have a lot of things to celebrate within our department. So I wanted to briefly go over our student population counts and our staffing for specialized learning to look at our K-12 results from our survey for this year. I'm really excited to share with you our TEA monitoring and audit results and some department celebrations. All right, as always, our mission is to engage students in the least restrictive environment, to support our teachers and staff through the process of training and building critical skills, and to be sure and leverage partnerships with our parents, families, and community stakeholders. All right, so this first slide is a breakdown of our special education students by campus. I did a side-by-side year comparison. So if you look at the year 22-23, those numbers were in January. And so we started out with 1,130 students in special education. Of those, 256 are dyslexia students that are receiving services. Then you look at where we are now, that's about a 16-month span, and we are at 1,490 in special education. Of those, 503 of those students are serviced with dyslexia. And then for Section 504 in 22-23, we were at 1,313, and this year at this time we're at 1,292. Now, we've seen significant growth in special ed, so you may be wondering why those high numbers, why of that growth? Well, it's all about dyslexia, because last year TEA told districts that we had to move dyslexia all under special education, whereas before sometimes we would service them under special ed, but oftentimes it would be Section 504. But as the U.S. Department of Ed continues to work with the state of Texas in corrective action, this is one of the things that we were slated to do. So TEA has given us 24 months to move all of those students under dyslexia into special education. So that's a big reason why those numbers have jumped. So as we see those numbers jump in special ed, you'll continue to see the numbers decrease in 504 because the majority of those students started out with dyslexia in 504. Another reason we're seeing significant numbers is we're seeing high referrals in the areas of early childhood, students ages 3 to 5 that are coming in that have significant needs, that are needing to start school earlier. And so we have a really robust 3 and 4-year-old program. And then we're also seeing significant numbers in students that are transferring to Montgomery ISD that are already coming to us served under an IEP in special education. Okay, looking at our program organization at the central office, these are our main players that are supporting our 10, going to be 11 campuses for next year. But I did want to point out that we were able to move from 2 occupational therapists to 1 this year. And so we reallocated that position to provide a SPED coach for significant disabilities. Those are our self-contained classrooms, our cares and life skills units, and our early childhood. So we've really made some significant progress. And I'm going to show you a little bit about our robot here in a minute. All right, when you look at our specialized learning team members, I also did a 3-year side-by-side comparison so you could kind of compare where we are. Next year, we're going to add a diagnostician. With the growing numbers of special education, we find that we need another assessment person. If you'll look at the dyslexia assessment specialist, this is a new mandated position last year that TEA says now districts have to have a person specifically assigned to be a part of every dyslexia evaluation and also to attend that ARD. So we added a position last year. This year, with the rising numbers, we find that we need really 1.5. So my 504 and dyslexia coordinator is going to help me fill that half spot. She's going to be doing some assessments on the side for us. We're very excited about school psychologists. We've not been able to fill those spots, and for the first time next year, we will have 4 full-time spots for school psychologists. We're also adding an ARD facilitator and a speech-language pathology assistant. Those are to account for the new campus with Creekside. And dyslexia has been all the rave. Everything in special ed has been driven by dyslexia over the past 3 or 4 years. We were able to do a Grow Your Own intern program with dyslexia last year. And this year we found the need to have 7 spots. So we didn't have to look any further than within our district. We were able to promote all of our new dyslexia teachers from our Dyslexia Grow Your Own. So we're very excited about that. And then also we needed a spot to cover the Creekside as well. And then we were able to bring on an assistive technology specialist this year. We had been paying for that in contracted services, and that got pretty hefty. So we were able to bring in and save our department some money and have an in-house person who actually works with our Milo there that I'm going to show you in a minute. All right, when you look at referrals and evaluation data, again, I broke it up by campus. Last year, our special ed referrals were about 220 to 300. We moved student management systems from Ascender into Skyward, so we didn't have a breakdown of the campuses, but this year we actually do. And you'll see that we currently have 516 students that have been referred for special education this year. 65 of those did not qualify, but we still have 160 6 of those pending. So you can see as those special ed numbers rise that our referral numbers are rising. And where are we qualifying students? Specific learning disability is our number one. Dyslexia falls under that. Other health impairment, speech, autism, and emotional disturbance. When we look at our self-contained SPED programming, we've been able, over the last couple of years, to add more and more of our self-contained classrooms to our campuses, which allows students to stay on their home campus. And so for next year, we're going to take our behavior classrooms and put them at 2 campuses, which will help with adding support for those classrooms. At Creekside, we'll have 2 best classrooms, and at MES, we'll have 3. We're going to work very closely with these campuses. Our behavior specialists are going to be housed on these campuses to begin and end the day to help those behavior unit teachers and paras work with those kiddos and build the skill sets there. So we're very excited about that. All right, looking at our K-12 survey for specialized learning, we've been hard at work, as you can see over the last couple of years. Starting with 21-22, we had some really low numbers, and for 23-24, all of our numbers are pretty much in the 80s and 90s. We continue to grow. We're very happy about that because it talks about positive work culture and being respected, and do you feel supported in your colleagues, and so we're very excited about that. We are working on the area where it says MISD helps employees see opportunities for professional growth and long-term career opportunities. That's one of our lowest areas, although we've had a significant increase. So we're really working with the growing your own, trying to take our staff members and build their skill sets and get additional certifications and things like that. Okay, so last year when I talked to the board, I said, hey, listen, we're coming up with our TEA cyclical audit, our monitoring, and we were really focused on trying to do the best that we could do in preparation. So it started in January. We just finished that in April. It was a pretty extensive comprehensive desk review. They looked at all areas of special education and dyslexia. They looked at all of our policies, our operating procedures. They looked at our results-driven accountability, which is special ed's A through F report card. They looked at, do we have any significant disproportionality issues within the district? And they also looked at how special ed was implementing the House Bill 4545 or 1416, which is that STAR tutorial and remediation. Through this, on Monday, we had to give them a list of all of our students in alpha order, and Tuesday, they sent us a random list, and they gave us 10 days to submit everything to TEA. So it was a pretty lengthy, arduous process, but we were able to do that. We actually submitted early. They did multiple interviews with our staff, and they provided surveys for our parents and the staff. When you look at what they were looking at specifically, they looked at our files, which was several hundred pages each file. They looked at child find, dyslexia, evaluation, whether we offered our students a free, appropriate public education. They looked at IEP content, development, implementation. They looked at STAR scores, properly constituted Rs, and transition. And so I'm really happy to share that MISD was 100% compliant. We had no issues. We do not have to do a strategic support plan, no corrective action plan. And I'm very excited because we are the only district in Region 6 this year that's had 100% compliance on their cyclical.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My team worked really hard. We were in there doing the happy dance. All right. We also receive results-driven accountability every year, and we look at state performance indicators. That's our SPED PEMS, as we call it, and then we look at significant disproportionality. And so, you know, I just wanted to give you a multi-year side-by-side so you can see how, you know, we've really worked to improve those scores. For results-driven accountability, you get scored anywhere from a 0 to a 4, a 0 being the best you can be, a 4 being TEA can come in, do campus visits, really hone in on what your areas of struggles are. but Montgomery ISD's continued to be a DL1. That's a very good score, and so we just monitor that. When you look at SPP A and B, those are going to be your initial timelines and your ARDs within a 30 calendar day. You can see we've made significant progress over the years, and we're 100% compliant with our SPP reporting for the state. Last year, they added 11B, which was the ARD had to be within 30 calendar days. We were non-compliant there, but we were 99.7% compliant. We missed one ARD out of 2,100 ARDs, and we only missed it by 3 days. And so we put some systems in place to make sure that that doesn't happen, but we were very excited with that progress. And then we've been compliant with early childhood and secondary transitions. So I think we're on a good path to make sure that we're meeting all of these state and federal timelines. The cyclical monitoring feedback that TEA gave, they really honed in on our strengths. They said that our strengths were student involvement in the ARDs and the transition process. They said another strength was that we support our students' needs through the IEP, and that our staff had an expansive knowledge and a growth mindset towards special education systems. And then our areas of growth, they wanted us to work on IEP development with measurable goals and PLAFs and impact statements. And we've already started professional development and growth in that area. Our department celebrations, we had our first annual special education parent night. We had over 20 vendors and 2 guest speakers, and we had over 50 parents attend. That's a very good attendance rate for special ed, especially our first time with our parents. With our TEA cyclical audit, not only were we 100% compliant and the only district in Region 6 that was that, TEA also complimented us on we had one of the highest survey participant rates of any district they've worked with within the last 5 years for a district our size. We participated in the Region 6 Assistive Technology Cohort. The first 5 districts that applied got in. We were number 1. And because of that, we were able to send a whole team all year to learn all about assistive technology, and we were gifted over $10,000 in equipment that now belongs to MISD and our students. And so we were very excited about that. We also have CARES and Best After School Roundtables. That's where we take our teachers and paras of our classrooms that are self-contained. We do mini PDs. We give opportunities to collaborate and brainstorm and problem solve, and we've had tremendous turnout. And this is after school, after they've worked all day with some of our most challenging students, that they would come and be with us in the afternoon. So very excited about that. And then we had a fantastic dyslexia parent night again, and we had over 70 parents participate. All right, so we brought in RoboKind, which is a very unique autism program for our significantly disabled students, specifically in the area of autism. We have 2 robots named Milo and Veda. So I wanted we programmed just for them to say a couple of things. Super cute. And we've had a lot of success with this. We are piloting the robots at Montgomery Elementary and Lone Star, but there's an avatar program that all of our students are using. And so the curriculum is social skills, learning how to make friends, and learning all of those critical needs for social skills. So we're excited about them and what they're doing for us. All right. So if you want to come by the office, I can show you all the things it says later. All right, we're happy to be able to we've provided over 80 opportunities for professional development this school year in the area of behavior management to support special ed and gen ed teachers. Special Olympics, we have added a Marvels cheerleading squad as well as a bocce ball. That's been very popular. We have a ton of students participating really for the first time. And then it's the first time ever that our teams have attended the fall and the spring state games. We've also had our 4th annual Mission Possible Field Day. We had over 120 students and 60 volunteers participate. We've also worked with our campuses to develop crisis teams to help our campuses with our students that are unique and have challenging behaviors and that they're struggling with to help them. And we also were proud that our Lake Creek High School CARES unit actually created a book. They wrote the book, they did all the illustrations, and they got it published. So we're very excited about that. So what's next? What are we focusing on for 24-25? Continuing with IEP development, working with our campuses in the area of behavior management, continuing to meet those critical state and federal timelines, and professional development for our self-contained teachers, general and special ed teachers and paras, and working with our specialized learning staff for hard arts assessment and dyslexia. So that's kind of a quick overview of a big department, but we're excited about what's coming for 24-25, and we're already hard at work to support our campuses. So, does anybody have any
Board members,
questions?
any questions? I have one.
Yes, sir.
If a student gets diagnosed with dyslexia, are they, let's say at the elementary level, are they with that all the way through high school, or do they ever graduate out of that?
So they actually do. We have two different programs for our dyslexia students, just depending on where they are. And so typically that's a 2 to 4 year direct program, service program, where they're pulled out of their class or during an elective and they run through the dyslexia program. Once their program complete, we will go back to the ARD, and then the ARD committee will decide whether they're completed, whether they need to exit out of special ed, or if they have some other issues going on, or maybe dyslexia wasn't the only thing, then they would continue to stay in special education, but they wouldn't have the pull-out program. We would just move to accommodations in the classroom.
Thank you.
So we do see a lot of in and out at the elementary. The goal is really to get them exited and dismissed before they enter junior high, because you don't want them to have to lose an elective and that kind of thing for that instruction. Yes, sir.
Of the 106 that are still not classified yet, will that be completed before the end of the school year for the next year?
40 of them will. 40 of them are due by June 30th. The rest of them will roll into the beginning of the year.
Have we reduced, what, the state gives us, what, 45 days? I forgot how many days you have.
It's 45 school days.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's our average? Were we taking it all the way to the 45, or are we cutting some days off?
So at the beginning of the year, they get done much quicker, but at the end of the year, oftentimes it takes us 45 days. It depends. If speech evaluations, dyslexia evaluations typically don't take 45 days, but evaluations that look at emotional disturbance, autism, those require a school psychologist. They're much more arduous, and so they can take up to 45.
So the other 76, they'll just be addressed at the start of the year to see if they qualified or not, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the mandated specialist position by the state, is
Yes.
that, do they kick in any kind of funding for that, or?
No, sir.
So they just say you gotta hire somebody?
They just say you got to do it. Yeah. Or they say, or reallocate inside the district, which, we don't have extra spots sitting around, but, no, there is no funding. They do give a little bit of funding to districts for dyslexia, but nowhere near to even pay for the dyslexia teachers that we have currently. Yes, sir.
Other questions? I have one, Ms. Clark.
Yes,
if you don't
sir.
mind. So on the BEST programs,
Yes, sir.
they're only on a few campuses, correct?
For secondary, every secondary campus has a BEST classroom, which is a behavior classroom. For our elementaries, they've never had one at each campus. They've always kind of, we had 2, then this year we had 3 campuses, and next year we're going to 2.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you're the father or mother, guardian of a kid who we refer into that program, but you're not on that campus where that is, do you have to get your kid to that campus? Do we do transportation? Once they're done with that program, do they stay on that campus? How does that all work?
Okay, so for transportation, if the student requires special education transportation, then we do transport them to the campuses. If they're on general education transportation, oftentimes, we don't. But if that's what the parent needs, then that's what we're absolutely going to provide. As far as exiting the program. You know, what we've seen a lot of is kids coming and going. They go to this campus, they start doing better, then they go back to their home campus, they begin to struggle because we don't have the supports and services. So we see a lot of bouncing around. That's one thing that we really want to target and change for next year. And so with the feeder patterns, number one, instead of one singular classroom, that you have kindergarten students all the way through 5th grade in the same class, which oftentimes can be challenging. We're going to have 2 and 3 classrooms on each campus, so you can break them up by challenging behavior, grade bands, and you have a department, you have support, more than one teacher in para, so these kids can go back and forth, okay? So the goal is, once they're in these self-contained classrooms, it's very targeted. We're targeting their behavior. We absolutely want them out with their non-disabled peers to the greatest extent possible. But the goal is they're going to continue to stay on those campuses for an extended period of time. So maybe they do well for several weeks and then they have a bad day. Well, they still need to be on a campus that they have all of those supports there, which they wouldn't have on another campus. So to have everything centrally located will help them be in the least restrictive environment, the most supports, unfettered access to our behavior specialists where they currently don't have. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Board members, any other questions?
I was going to reiterate a couple things, and you asked the question that I literally wrote down, because I'm a little sensitive to the unfunded mandate piece of stuff. But
yes, sir.
The new dyslexia requirement of an that specialist is 100% an unfunded mandate. The dyslexia allotment was created back in 2019, and that ratio, or the weighted piece of the allotment, has not changed since, and that's a new requirement since then. So just another challenge when it comes to the financial aspect that we're in. The thing I want to also point at is, based on my conversations with our staff on campuses, you said y'all have offered over 80 behavior management PD sessions.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what our folks have echoed that they need and continue to need. And so I'm excited that we're continuing to support that. And I'm glad you expanded on it, because I was going to. The best unit satellite location is truly the best setup for our teachers and our staff also, because
Yes.
as a best unit teacher that is on a singleton on a campus, and I'm the only one, and I've got no one else to turn to and get feedback from, get guidance from. So much similar to our 4th grade ELA team, our 4th grade group teachers can get together for an ELA PLC and build and add value to each other. Now those teachers can be that cohort and collaborate to effectively guide that instruction and support for our students. So I'm excited to see how that plays out next year.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And the goal is really to retain those teachers and they feel supported. And so we've gotten a lot of good, positive feedback. So we're excited about next year and what we're going to be able to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Clark. Any other questions?
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks. All right, and then last information item for the night, 10C, department update from Human Resources. Denise Minor to dig into Human Resources.
Last but not least. Okay, we are going to take a look at a high overview of our HR department updates for this year. So the first thing I'd like to do for those of you that are new is share a look at who is in our team. We start with Teresa Blackwell to your left. She is our administrative assistant. Tiffany San Miguel is our HR specialist. Caitlin Nichols is our compensation analyst. Then on the other side of me, we have Beverly Herod, who is our certification specialist. Siobhan Johnson, who is our benefits and employee relations coordinator. And then we have Miss Carol Reisig, who is our substitute coordinator. So that gives you an idea of our HR department. We're going to take a look at our Goal 4 strategic plan performance objectives and take a look at a little data for you. So performance objective number 1 surrounds compensation and benefits, and we look to assess the current compensation and benefits plans for comparability and competitiveness compared to other regional districts. So what we do is we look at the TASB salary survey each year, and we focus in on our Region 6 districts. And our target is to, by 2023-24 have our teacher salaries increase to at least the 85th percentile within Region 6. This year, we were at the 91st percentile among the districts that provided information. We were behind New Caney, Conroe ISD, and Splendora. We were number 4. Performance Objective 2 surrounds staff retention, and we look to develop and implement a comprehensive approach to ensure the retention of effective employees. So for 23-24, the district will begin each school year with at least 98% of teacher positions filled by a certified teacher. Our target is 98%. We were at 99% this year when we started school in the fall. We were missing 2 Spanish teachers, a special education teacher, and an English teacher. So out of 590 teachers, that's not too bad. We had 90 new hires that we brought to MISD, and we started the year with a new teacher orientation, as we always do, to get them ready to go to their campuses. And then I wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Chris Summers. He brought the MINT program to MISD. That's mentoring and induction for new teachers. And he meets with year 1 teachers, and this year he met with 23 new teachers that had either 0 or 1 year of experience. They met 5 times this year for an entire day of PD. And then he also met with his year 2 MENT teachers. Those were the 22 teachers that he had first met with last year. They came back for a second year this year, and he met with them 3 times, again for full days of PD. And he had his teaching and learning department that helped him with that. Is that correct, Dr. Summers? And they covered various topics such as classroom management, learning styles, stress management, and maintaining positive student behaviors, among many other areas that they covered. So continuing with Performance Objective 2, one of the things we take a look at is the percentage of employees leaving MISD reporting a satisfactory experience, and we're hoping that that will be at 90%. This year it came in at 80%, and we received that information through the exit surveys that we send out to those folks that leave us. One of the strategic plan refreshes for next year is that we're going to be focusing on those exit surveys. We want to make sure that not only are we sending those out to everyone, but we're getting them returned. I felt like this year we had a smaller return rate, and I think that affects obviously the percentage that you're seeing there. So that is something that we're going to be working on next year to make sure that we are getting a larger number of those returned so that we have more data. So now we're going to take a look at the retention percentage of our employees. And if you'll notice, we have it broken up by administration, the teacher hiring schedule, all of those folks that fall on that schedule, and our support staff paras. So starting with administration, we're looking at those administrators who are at MISD from 1 to 5 years, and we had 81% of those folks stay with us for this year. Then we looked at those administrators that have been with us for 6+ years, and we had 91% of those administrators stay with us. When we look at our teachers, those that have been with us for from 1 to 5 years, we had 80% that returned. Those that have been with us for 6+ years, we had 88% that returned. And then when we look at our support staff and paraprofessionals, those that have been with us between 1 and 5 years, we had 67% that returned. And those that have been with us for 6+ years, we had 91% that returned. So if you take a look at those numbers, you'll see that if we can keep them just past 6 years, they stay with us. We have a larger percentage across the board that continue to be with us. Performance objective number 3 is around climate and culture, and we collect, analyze, and respond to an ongoing collection of decision-making data to measure working conditions and PD needs among MISD employees. And these particular numbers come from our third-party survey that we give out at the beginning of the school year. And the first is the percentage of employees who would recommend the district as a positive place to work will be at or above 90% each year. And this year we came in at 88%. And then the percentage of employees who indicated they have been provided training to meet the current requirements and expectations of their job will increase by 3% annually, and we came in at 78%. This is another area that we're going to take a look at on our strategic plan refresh. We want to break that apart. When we were working on Goal 4 with our team, we talked about the fact that it's important for us to look at administration, teachers, and support staff paras in this particular area because this is kind of all lumped together. So we really need to drill down and find out who those staff members are that are wanting this PD. And again, this top piece of data is also from that third-party survey. The number of employees reporting they receive relevant job-embedded professional development will increase by 3% annually, and we're at 79%. Again, we're looking to break that apart and look at the data with administration, teachers, and support staff paras so we can drill down and support those folks. And then 100% of staff will be evaluated on an annual basis using systematic, routine, and approved appraisal tools. And this past year, we had 99% of our staff that were evaluated. We have talked to that one person, and we will have 100% this year. And then with this particular performance objective, we're looking at providing growth opportunities for our staff. So I did want to highlight 2 grants that we have received. The first is the T-Class grant that we are wrapping up with this year. And over the past 2 years, we had 2 paraprofessionals that this grant funded them to be able to complete their teacher certification. They did receive their standard certificate this year, and they're in the classroom teaching. And then this grant also provided resources and training for our education and training teachers at both high schools. Those are the teachers that teach our students that want to be future teachers, so that helped support them as well. The second grant that I wanted to highlight is a grant that we received this year, and that's the National Board Candidacy Cohort Grant. And we have 5 MISD teachers that have began their journey to become nationally board certified. Once they've completed this process and have become certified, they will have access to TIA funds each year. And they started this year, and that will continue on next year. That is about a 2-year process. Performance objective number 5 is recruitment strategies, and we want to develop and implement a comprehensive recruiting plan with multiple sourcing strategies to obtain high-quality candidates to meet specific needs, including a strategic focus on diversity. Our onboarding process, I talked a little bit about our new teacher orientation, and then that carries on into the classroom when they go to their campus at the beginning of the school year. These are our new teachers that are given a mid-year survey to ask them how that went for them, not only with the hiring piece, but the onboarding piece, and then their first few weeks on campus. And in 2022-23, 91% reported satisfaction with the employee onboarding process, and then for 23-24, 92% reported that they were satisfied with the process. And then as far as our recruiting events go, for the past several years, we have gone to 10 separate recruiting job fairs. I've shared with you the number of colleges and universities we attend. We go to A&M, UT, Texas State, Sam Houston. We have our auxiliary job fair in the summer for our support staff. So we spend quite a bit of time getting our name out there at each of these colleges and universities, and it has certainly paid off for our hiring process. So some of the priorities that we want to focus on for next year, we want to expand those relationships with our surrounding universities and teacher prep programs to strengthen and grow our pipeline of teacher talent. We want to continue to bring larger numbers of student teachers into our district and Once they are here, they usually want to stay with us, so that's always a nice pipeline to have. We want to develop an onboarding training for campus staff to welcome new employees. I talked a little bit about that onboarding process, and through those mid-year surveys, one of the recurring themes was that those new teachers are looking for support once they go to their campuses those first 2-3 weeks, a month. So we're going to focus on that a little bit. And then expand the current MISD mentoring program to support professional employees new to the district. So we'd really like to focus on that mentoring program and beef that up. So that's going to be a focus for us next year as well. And these are a few pictures of us out on the recruiting trail. And that's all I have for you, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for HR?
One question real quick. Region 6, how many school districts would that comprise of, and what geographical region?
It's a little over 40 school districts. So like I said, it's kind of all through our area. I don't know.
From us, we kind of are the western kind of most portion of it. It goes east over into New Caney, north up all the way to Buffalo, College Station, Bryan, they're in Region 6.
Brennan,
Crockett,
Minnesota.
Love Lady that way, East Texas also. It's a big region.
It is. So. Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you much.
Thank you, Ms. Miner. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we adjourn, I hope you'll afford me one little grace right quick. You'll start seeing some chairs jostling around next week with reorganization of the board officers, and so we appreciate y'all's time tonight. I do want to recognize Mr. Nate Robb in his role in the past year as vice president, and just thank him publicly for all the work that you've done. It's been a year that I think you've made some really big impacts on that, and I wanted to point that out here for the record. So
Thank you.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, to our new board members, congratulations on completing your first board meeting, and we are going to adjourn for the evening.